rates higher.
I don't care.
Men's mental health, I don't give a
It's officially men's mental health. I don't care.
So June is Men's Mental Health Month, and I didn't even know about that until last year. Evidently, I was not the only one. It's not exactly promoted with the same sort of enthusiasm or corporate sponsorship as something like Pride Month, for example. But this year, I have noticed an uptick in people discussing whether or not this is necessary, and there's this one video in particular that has sparked a wave of responses. This TikToker filmed herself mocking the idea of taking a moment of silence for men's mental health. And in response, many men, they brought up suicide statistics to make their point. So today I want to unpack this. Why are men's emotional struggles often treated like a punchline? Also, why are so many reactions to this conversation on both sides so extreme? Let's begin with the original video, and then we're going to take a look at some of the responses. So here it is, right? Me when it's time to take a moment of silence for men's mental health. And this is the response to the girl that posted that.
I don't care.
Okay.
I really don't give a fuck.
Well, that's unfortunate, because there's certainly a lot of women out there that expect all men to care about all women's issues. But yet when it comes to matters that are actually critical to the male population, there are a lot of women out there that really should stop saying that they have empathy for others, because it's becoming perfectly obvious that they don't.
So people saying that they don't care with such pride, like apathy is something to brag about. It's not, right? And then this woman stitched that video, responded calmly, pointing out how so many women expect men to care deeply about women's issues, yet feel no obligation to reciprocate.
It's officially June. It's officially men's mental health. Shut the f up. I don't care.
This kind of selective empathy isn't just hypocritical, it's revealing, okay? It shows how conditional some people's compassion, some people's empathy really has become. I only care about you if we're on the same political team. I only care about you if we're the same gender. What is that? And to openly mock mental health awareness for half the population. It's grotesque, you know? I genuinely wonder how someone gets to that point. Do they not have a single man in their lives that they care about, that cares about them? A father, a brother, a grandfather, a friend, a teacher, anyone? Because let's be honest, in many of these cases, the people who proudly broadcast their hatred toward the opposite gender are almost always single. Maybe not 100% of the time, but enough that it's noticeable. Because it's a bit hard to be in a loving, healthy relationship while hating the gender of your partner. That level of bitterness doesn't come from empowerment, right? From happiness. It often comes from isolation. And it's no coincidence that the loudest voices mocking all men or all women are often the loneliest. Now, do I think that everyone who rolls their eyes at Men's Mental Health Month is cruel or incapable of empathy? No. I think some are just reacting from personal pain, trauma, right? I get that. But mocking the entire conversation doesn't make you powerful, and it's not going to bring about any real change. Men, when grape jokes, it's dark humor. They'll say men when you joke about Men's Mental Health Month. And she does say, I don't joke about it, I just find it ironic. If your entire persona, at least online, is built on dark humor, it's just humor, right? Nothing's off limits, then you can't turn around and become emotionally fragile, a snowflake, as soon as the joke isn't flattering to your gender. There has to be some consistency. Either dark humor is fair game, including jokes about men and women, or it isn't. You don't get to be emotionally detached when it's about women, but then play victim the second it's about you. When someone makes a dark humor joke about women's issues, maybe it's assault, there will always be men online saying, relax, it's just a joke. Okay, dark humor, it's allowed. But the moment a woman makes a joke about men's issues, suddenly it's, you whore! You deserve to be raped, you deserve to be assaulted. You know what? I think you're triggered. You're offended, and that's okay. That's only human. It happens to men, it happens to women. People get offended sometimes. But how you express that matters. If your response is violent, unhinged, purely reactionary, you don't look powerful. You look unstable. You look triggered. You reinforce the very stereotypes you claim to be fighting.
Men just kill themselves and no one cares. We need to change it.
Her critique is that men tend to derail the conversation by immediately bringing up male suicide rates, as if the pain is a competition, or, oh, but men experience this too. And I get her point because it can come off as deflection, like a need to center the male experience no matter the topic. But I also think a lot of men, they aren't doing that to try and erase women's pain. They bring it up because they don't feel seen in their own, ever, because they're not allowed to go online and say, yeah, look, we are suffering, we have this mental health crisis, the loneliness epidemic, rates, whatever, and then women laugh. And so then they start shouting over women bringing up their own struggles even when they shouldn't. One group's trauma doesn't cancel out another's. Both these issues matter, and if we're genuinely serious about fixing anything, we have to stop weaponizing these statistics just to use it in the gender war, like we're in kindergarten again. Men are evil, all women are evil, girls are better, no, boys are better. And then we get videos like this, I'm so proud of hating men, as if that's some sort of badge of honor. As if hating half the population makes you edgy or intelligent. It doesn't. Okay? It doesn't. It makes you look emotionally stunted. There's nothing empowering about dehumanizing an entire gender.
Men's mental health, I don't give a f. I'm tired of hearing all this men suffer in silence. Mother, they don't. They don't. Women suffer in silence. Men suffer in violence. If a is upset or he's angry, he gonna let a woman know. He's gonna make sure she hears it. Go to therapy. Shut the f up.
And suffer in violence. Okay, well, this is obviously coming from someone who has many bad experiences probably and has seen men react in violent ways. Keep in mind, raising awareness and encouraging men to get help instead of hurting themselves or someone else doing something illegal, that's a good message. That's gonna help both men and women. So I don't know how you could be against that, really. A lot of men do suffer in silence and then unalive themselves, but for the men that don't, and for the men who think it's okay to hurt someone else because they're struggling, there should be awareness about how, no, actually, that's not okay. And also recognition of one group's suffering is not a threat to your own. If you truly care about mental health, you should want both conversations to be taken seriously, because the well-being of women and the well-being of men, they are deeply interconnected. When one group is suffering, it's going to inevitably affect the other. But instead of acknowledging that, right, people online regress to this playground logic. All women are evil. All men are evil. It's immature. Your bad experience with one person or two people or whatever, your dating history, a lot of people bring that up, none of that justifies generalizing an entire gender. Hello? Everyone is different.
For some reason, our society loves to paint this image that it's men versus women and that all men are bad and that women are this, that, and the other. And it's like, And at a certain point, we literally just have to sit back and look at these absolute unemployed incels who take what's supposed to be an awareness month and then do shit like this.
The truth is that people in general are struggling right now, especially with social media, tech-driven isolation. That has created a generation that's overstimulated, that's disconnected, and while both men and women are affected, men often experience that differently. They tend to have weaker social support systems, and there is still a strong stigma around vulnerability, especially in male friend groups. As a result of that, many men end up suffering in silence until frustration spills out, often anonymously online, often in comments under a woman criticizing something like Men's Mental Health Month, right? So reaching out correctly, that isn't weak. You don't have to go to therapy. I know that's not everybody's thing, but talk to somebody, a parent, a friend, but someone, because bottling it up until it turns into resentment doesn't make you strong. It guarantees more pain down the line. Women, on the other hand, are socially encouraged to talk about their emotions. It's normalized. You want to vent to your friends, that's fine. You share the same weight, and that helps. That kind of support system genuinely reduces emotional pressure, okay? So it's something I believe that men need more of, not in a forced or performative way, but in a real, organic way that looks different for men. Our challenges often look different. Men still face enormous pressure to provide, to never show weakness, right? Especially if you're more of like a traditional guy. So a job loss or health issue doesn't just hit their finances, it can devastate their entire identity if they have been conditioned to equate self-worth, with productivity, they'll spiral when that's compromised, right? But women often will experience higher rates of assault, for example, and face different, biological challenges that affect mental health. So we're talking about something like PMS or PMDD in more extreme cases, how pregnancy can affect that, or postpartum depression. These differences matter. We're biologically different. So the mental health discourse should reflect that. And then some woman says Men's Mental Health Month does matter. Pick me. I don't know, like, who's really the pick me here? A woman who views men as human beings, recognizes, oh, I love my dad. I love my brother. I love my boyfriend. I love my friend. I love my cousin. There are so many men in my life that I love and that love me, and I recognize that they are human beings and that their mental health matters. Or the woman who says, actually, I can't get a date, so I hate all men. Because I'm struggling to find a boyfriend, we should kill all men. Who's a pick me? I don't really understand. And there's the exact same male equivalent. That's talked about more, but both exist. With the male side, it's like, oh, I can't get a girlfriend, no girl will date me. So they're all whores. Why would someone want to date someone like that? Oh yeah, that's a great partner for me because they hate my gender. Think about it. For example, make the rates higher. Kill all men. Male loneliness epidemic, but if you don't have an unreal body and a beautiful face without makeup, they don't want, this is exactly what I was just talking about, right? Not everything is about you and the fact that you can't find a date. Let's put dating aside for a second. You don't see them as human beings. You don't have anyone of the opposite gender who you care about. Really? Do you ever go out in the real world? Do you ever interact with human beings? Maybe this is coming from people who really need to put the phone down. I genuinely don't care about men. Burn and torture every man who thinks they deserve an awareness month. Are you guys okay? Women's Mental Health Month, yeah. No, we should have one because you guys need to be aware of how mentally ill you are. This is not okay. But then she responds, women only get a week, but men get a month. But yes, I should care. Girl, advocate for a Women's Mental Health Month. Okay, but why not also have a Men's Mental Health Month? It's pick me to be a decent human being, to not want to burn and torture every man. All men should be raped and killed brutally. All of them. Okay, but this one, let's keep in mind, there are definitely going to be people doing this just as rage bait. And I think I found one. You're loved, vegan, Indian, trans, Jewish, neurodivergent, disabled. Okay, posting this.
11, 10, 9, 8.
Me seeing men and then men is censored. Have a month when Indian Jews get nothing and suffer more. I think it's rage bait. I'm gonna take a wild guess and they fall for it. I hope you get raped to death and your family dies, you fat bitch. See, okay. Women are taught to process things out loud with each other, while men are often taught to suppress, to distract, to redirect. Not because they don't feel anything, not because men don't have emotions, but because vulnerability has never been modeled to them as strength, right? It's framed as weakness. So it's not that men don't struggle, it's that they're taught to struggle in silence. Does that mean, okay, so now let's cry about everything? Men, women, we have a minor inconvenience and we have to get a diagnosis. No. That's not what that means. That's not mental health awareness. Some people take it too far. Some people think, okay, so let me just be an emotional mess. Let me be unstable. That's gonna help me. No, it's not. Sometimes you have to learn how to control yourself. In fact, that's the whole point of raising awareness, to bring a bit more stability into your life, to learn how to control your emotions, yes, but when you're really struggling, when something serious happens to you, a big change in your life, it's okay to reach out. It's okay to talk to someone you trust. If you don't have someone like that, yes, therapy. If you don't want to do that, there's so many things you can do. You can journal, you can work on your physical health because that does affect your mental health and vice versa. If you're religious, you can pray, you can go to church, you can talk to that community. There are so many things you can do and it depends on the person and what works for them. I just don't want some people to hear this and this whole conversation, surrounding mental health awareness and think, okay, yeah, what this is all about is me and all of these different, labels I can give myself. No, actually. So they're taught to struggle in silence, saying, oh, I'm not okay, something like that. talking to your friends, that's like a betrayal to that masculinity. And there's a culture that rewards stoicism, but then mocks opening up when you really need to, right? Emotional strength is not pretending that everything is fine all the time. It's having the self-awareness to recognize when you're not okay, right? And then doing something about it. Getting off social media for a while, right? Setting boundaries with yourself and with others. Also, I think it starts with reminding men it's okay to feel something other than rage or nothing at all. You know, it's okay. There are a lot of different emotions you're allowed to feel. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. That's the thing though. It's expected, I'll say, for the women to get upset and then they cry. And it's so sad. Oh no. Okay. And then for the men though, what you'll see, it's like maybe because they don't feel like they can cry, they can't express their emotions that way, that they just get angry. So that actually presents itself with this trend and how triggered men react to it. It's not, I'm very upset. I mean, some men, they're like crying and they're talking about people they've lost and that we should have this mental health awareness month. It makes sense to have that kind of reaction. But a lot of men, all women should die because of this woman, what she posted. It's like there's an issue with expressing your emotions, and so a lot of people resort to that. And I'm not saying women don't do this. You'll see with this trend too, actually, a lot of women respond the same way. So there's an issue, especially when we see that it's going from 0 to 100, instead of taking a step back and saying, okay, what about this triggered me so much? What's something that I can type out, or, you know, maybe I could make a video, talk about it, that would actually be productive, right? And add some value to this conversation instead of some of the comments that we see, some of the videos that we see as well with this trend. Another major factor, by the way, is technology and how that is replacing real connection, especially for men though, because things like pornography, we'll say, gaming, social media addiction, these things, they provide quick dopamine spikes that mimic intimacy or achievement without requiring any real emotional investment, right? And for a lot of men, especially younger ones, that kind of digital escape becomes their only outlet. So why would they risk the possibility of rejection or vulnerability when you can be safe right behind a screen? Now, this is a trap both men and women fall into, but for men, it's often more dangerous. Why? Because men are more visually wired, we'll say, so things like pornography, especially in the extreme unlimited forms available online today, they pull men into addiction. It creates warped expectations. It is a massive contributing factor to the male loneliness epidemic, to the female loneliness epidemic, to the rising depression rates. But when your main source of intimacy is something you can click, skip, control, real relationships start to feel inconvenient. They start to feel confusing or not worth the effort. And we have OF and we have AI doing OF or whatever else. I mean, it's no wonder why so many people are suffering in silence. We encourage people to stop consuming garbage, whether it be your actual diet or your social media feed or your late night distractions. That affects people more than they realize, right? You need to take care of yourself. You need to build real discipline. Now, what you should be telling women and men is that when there's something serious going on, something that is affecting their well-being, their relationships, their sense of identity, it is not weak to seek help. It is calculated, in fact. It is intelligent. You don't have to become emotionally dramatic to be emotionally aware. If you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for those who care about you. Do it for those you care about. And at the end of the day, it should not be a controversial message to say that men's mental health matters or that women's mental health matters. It doesn't make you a pick-me girl or a pick-me boy for saying, yeah, it's not good when we have high suicide rates, when we're demonizing an entire gender because you may have had bad experiences. Acknowledging that men's mental health matters does not diminish women's mental health or invalidate their struggles, okay? It is not a competition. It's a call for balance, for honesty and growth on both sides.
Mental health is not a joke. Over 500,000 men unalive themselves each and every year.
You do not need to suffer in silence to prove that you're strong or a real man. Real strength is knowing when to step up, when to speak up, right? And how to do it, because there's a right time and place and a wrong time and place. Trauma dumping to strangers online or in the real world is not the right time or place. Go to someone you know and trust, or a therapist, or journal, or reflect, improve your physical health like we talked about. There are so many different ways to improve your mental health, but it is not weak. And if your first instinct when you hear men's mental health or women's mental health is to roll your eyes, maybe pause and ask yourself why. Is it discomfort with the idea that both men and women deserve compassion, that it's not right to generalize and demonize an entire gender? And that's all. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. Also remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Share the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.